Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to stay with the film and we're going to hear how 3D scanning is actually changing the production. Let me welcome on stage the digital twin technical director at Pixomondo, Matej Kosovsky. Matej, come, join me over here. Matej, enjoy.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my talk about practical application of 3D scanning in the film industry. I'm hoping to inspire some of you because we all know how this technology works, but maybe you don't know how you can use it in the entertainment. So I want to show you how you can do that. I work for Pixomondo. It's a visual effects, virtual production, and a technology company. I'm based in Canada, but we operate globally, and we are part of Sony Pictures Entertainment. We work on a lot of shows and movies across the globe. So for the last 5 years, I was leading our in-house scanning department as head of capture because we utilize scans on every show that we work on. It helps our team get to the correct results faster. And because of this, we created an in-house department for it. The visual effects require a lot of intensive labor work in specialized departments, and every department needs a different type of scan data in different quality and accuracy. So today I want to show you a case study of one of the projects I worked on. I picked Cada Minuto Quanta project as I believe it's a great example of how scans are supporting today's productions. I worked on this project in 2023, and it was a TV show about an earthquake that happened in Mexico City in 1985. And this earthquake killed thousands of people in the city as many buildings collapsed. And this show reenacts the events that happened right after the earthquake, especially around hospitals and the victims impacted. We were providing mainly the virtual production support for our team because our team was tasked to create 3 full environments for virtual productions. And these were recreations of different neighborhoods that were the most impacted by the earthquake. We also deployed operators on set to control the Unreal Engine during filming. And our focus for scanning was to support that team to get their job done. For timeline, it was a 1-week on-location scanning in Mexico City. And here is a video from behind the scenes. You can watch the full video on YouTube. There's just a small section, and you can see some of the results of our work, especially in the background.
I think we're pushing the boundaries and we're pushing the limits of what was done to this day with this project. I think we are here in one of the biggest projects with visual effects and virtual production ever done in Latin America. They already had in their minds the ideas of building maquettes, and the art department on the show had done a lot of research onto understanding, and they were able to actually build the maquettes of all the destroyed buildings. And with the visual effects team, we were able to actually come in and scan the maquettes, both with LIDAR scans and photogrammetry. We needed to create a lot of detail, but having the scan of the maquettes allowed us to be very true to what happened in the day.
Virtual production inherently offers a collaborative environment on set. All creatives involved on the show and visual effects supervisor all have to work together to be able to create these environments, and that's a unique scenario in filmmaking.
When highly creative people are presented with challenges the way they were on this production, they really rise to the opportunity to be able to tell the story that they want to tell. And I think the team here did it in a beautiful way. They were able to embrace the technology in a way that it was moving.
So they mentioned that it was one of the large-scale virtual productions in Latin America, but it was still quite low budget comparing to something like The Mandalorian or Andor that Gabriel was mentioning. So we had to find the creative ways how we can deliver the same type of quality of work and make it shorter, because we didn't have the budget to spend so much labor on it. So I want to dive into different sections throughout the project. And the first was location scouting. So on the first day on the ground, we went to scout the location. So these would be the areas that we had to recreate, the 3 environments. And typically the location scout would be a small team of up to 8 people that goes to the location. It would be a production designer, art director, and maybe a visual effects supervisor. And we discuss how we're gonna approach filming the scenes that we need to do for the show on that location. We talk about specific details in each location, and my job, or the scanning team's job, is to collect photography for references and to do some quick scans on the area that we are in. So we spend less than 10 minutes on each of these locations, so it's a very fluid process, and you have to just communicate with the team and grab whatever you can in the time that you have while you are there. So this is a neighborhood in Mexico City called Tlatelolco. It was one of the environments that we were rebuilding, and we got scans of few benches in the area and the type of sidewalk that they have. This is just so that people in VFX, when they're creating the environments, they have understanding and some kind of reference of the ground truth. And some areas were changed and some were still original from 1985. So some of the areas were still looked the same way that we had to recreate. The next big thing is set pieces. So filming on locations can be very limiting. You are tied to a specific time of day. You can only work certain amount of hours. You are weather dependent, so if it's raining and you can't have rain, then you need to skip a day. You need location security, and it's obviously difficult to destroy real places if you need to do some destruction, which we had to do in this example. We had a sequence in a hospital with this walkway on the left side where the characters were discussing something on the day, and they closed down that part of hospital because this is a real active hospital in Mexico still to this day, and they could only close it for like 2 days to get the basic sequence done. But then we had to destroy it and film more, so they created a replica of that walkway to be filmed in virtual production and on a stage. So when you recreate a replica like this, we have to create the extensions that is digitally recreated in the virtual production. So you have this physical prop in the middle where you have the actors, and that's created by the art department team on the client side, on production side. And our team in Canada or Germany or other places, they need to match the dimension, the color, so that they can make the extension in the digital environment. And if you have just a photo, the artist has very little information to work with. So scan helps them to get to the correct result faster and to make sure that it will be actually seamless when we transition between the physical one and the digital extension. This is another example of a set piece. So even if we have set pieces that were created for the show that we are not digitally extending directly, so this might be a normal piece that's in the physical set and we don't make the digital copy of it, we still scan them if we can, because it gives us a lot of information from the production's view. So these are usually hero props, what we call, which is the highest detail or the highest quality of props that they create. And it has a lot of surface detail. So on the left side, you can see that the concrete blocks have a specific detail that the production is matching to the historical accuracy. And if we are creating similar elements, we might take the texture or some details from these sets and make a variation based on that. So any information that we can gather on set helps our team globally to create digital variations of it. Miniatures. So miniatures were used on this project quite a lot, but usually the miniatures are not very, they are not usually left untouched in the final picture. And in this case, they wanted to film the miniatures for the background scenes, but then they decided to not go that route and go with us with virtual production. And they were gonna be just thrown away. And instead of doing that, we actually used them to create our Unreal assets. So we scanned them with highly detailed photogrammetry, and this way we could recreate the full miniatures that a team spent a lot of time and research to match the destruction that actually happened on the day. And we just scaled up the asset into our Unreal scene. And we didn't remodel it. We didn't have to do any destruction simulations or anything. We used the scans of the maquettes of the miniatures directly in Unreal. So in the end, the red zone is the physical set, and the cutout is our digital extension. So both on the left and the right side are scanned miniatures, just scaled up and then touch up with a little bit of detail so that it holds up on the screen. As you can see, there was a lot of debris around. Even here you can see they are used to blend the practical sets and the virtual sets that we have, so it kind of hides the transition between the two. So our production created a lot of these debris elements. There were various sizes, maybe from small to very large, maybe up to 3 meters. And we scanned them in bulk so that we can use them anywhere in the environments and fill in the details in the backgrounds as well very quickly. And usually how that would go is that we would have a warehouse set up with all the props and all the elements that we need to scan. We would be doing a photogrammetry with a cross-polarized setup. It's very efficient, it's very quick, and you can access all the angles. So the props would be maybe every 2 meters, they will be separated, kind of like social distancing during COVID. And that will allow us to go quickly around the prop from any angle, and then we switch them. So maybe we have 5 at a time set up, and in a day we can scan, maybe one person can scan 60 props or so. So props are the most common things to be scanned. They are usually unique to the show, whether you are doing a sci-fi show of things that don't exist or a time-specific period like this project. It's very hard to find or recreate accurate reference assets for that, so you have to take whatever the production created. And here is an interesting example on the right side with covered victims. So these were actually extras that were pulled on the side during between takes, and the production designer just put them on the blankets, just asked them to lie down, cover them, stage them, and then we had to quickly scan them. It took maybe 30 seconds to do the scan. We did few variations of that, and we tried to do it so quick because it was very uncomfortable for the people to lie down underneath. It was a very hot day. And you might ask, why not just take a photo? So if you take a photo, if you send it a few months later down the line, someone in different country, an artist is working on it, and he will interpret that photo in his view. And then when the visual effects supervisor sees whatever he created, he might have some notes. So they go back and forth until the visual effects supervisor is happy. Then the visual effects supervisor shows it to the client, which is the production designer who staged this to begin with, and it might be different. So they go back all the way to the artist, and you have more iterations there. If you scan the reference to begin with, you give that to the artist, it's kind of set in stone, like the ground truth is known, and the artist has some more information to work with. He doesn't have to guess. And that will save you a lot of time, of course, and you still have creative freedom because you might need to change it, but you do that as a conscious choice on the creative end. And the last use case that we have for scans is virtual production support scans. These are mainly LIDAR based, and they are not used in the final picture. We scan every set that is filmed on our stages, and this data is always there if we need it further in post-production. The most common type of a virtual production support scan is an alignment scan. This is a scan that scans the physical build. You can see the walkway on the right side. So when we have a piece of set in the stage like this, we need to make the digital extension, as I mentioned before, and we need to align the physical real asset that's placed inside of the volume to the digital one. And if we scan it, we actually can take the scan into our Unreal environment and overlay it on top. So then we can match the digital one we already created to match perfectly with the physical one. And that will ensure that when you look through the camera, there is no gap and continuous transition between the two assets, between the physical and the digital one. And this is usually done one day before filming. We call it a blend day, and it is to ensure that we have the latest position and it's accurate, because sometimes if you do it 3 days before, the one day before, they still move it, and then you have to redo it again. And after the scan is captured, it needs to be processed immediately, sent to the team so they can adjust their Unreal environment, and then the next morning the filming starts. And it's a simple in theory, but if you don't have this step, sometimes you can't film at all, because if you have the gap and misalignment between the two assets, you can't film it, because you would just have to replace everything in post anyway. And we are trying to make in-camera visual effects finals with this. So all of this was done in 2023. And since then, as we've seen many times in the last 2 days, a lot has changed in our industry, especially with the new technologies like Gaussian Splats and NeRF. We can do better reconstructions and faster. In the last year, my focus was on improving the efficiency of capturing the environments that we work on. And today, I would like to showcase our Tori solution in this video.
Setting new standards for how environments are captured and recreated.
Pixo's 3D reconstruction technology uses Gaussian splats to transform real-world and synthetic data
into accurate digital twins. One of the advanced rigs built by the Pixo team is a versatile camera array called Tori. By taking photos simultaneously in different directions, Tori helps you cover a location quickly. The rig accurately captures all angles of location to archive and store a slice of reality as a digital twin. The scale this flexible technology creates is endless, unlocking the potential for anyone to efficiently capture and customize their own unique scenes and share cutting-edge transmedia content.
So I didn't know if we're going to have enough time for questions, so I prepared in advance and anticipated some of the questions. So most of them that people asked me in the last few days was, are we running Gaussian splats in virtual production wall? Yes, we do. And have we used Gaussians in a real production already? Yes, we did. And was this captured with a Tori rig? No, it was not. But this was. And we can run the Gaussian splats in Unreal in real time on any of our stages. This is in stage 7 in Culver City in Los Angeles. An interesting thing might be that why do we need an array of like 61 megapixel cameras and that resolution? Is that even necessary? That might be another question. Well, this wall has 32 different segments. Each of them is 4K. So it's actually more resolution that the Sphere has in Las Vegas. And you don't run the full resolution and on the whole wall all the time. You only run whatever the camera sees. But the movies require a lot of accuracy and a lot of flexibility in the quality of the data that they get. So we always try to push the boundaries higher and higher. And currently, the Gaussians are optimized to be lower resolution, but it will get there. And this is another example. Actually, this was captured by one person under 20 minutes using a 3-camera Tori setup. And this is crucial for us. This speed of capturing is crucial for film. We usually face huge time restrictions on locations, and that's why this is a game changer for us. I've truly enjoyed all the presentations that you guys had in the last 2 days and learned from you. I hope that you got something from my presentation as well, and thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matej Kosovsky, good job. I really enjoyed how you handled the Q&A yourself. Love that. If the audience is going to have any further questions, are you going to still be around?
Yes, of course.
Perfect. So make sure to ask further questions to Matej. Thanks a lot.